Israel Adesanya has been public enemy number one since his win over Alex Pereira because he was taunting Alex Pereira's kid. We're going to talk about that specifically in just a second. Before we get into the video, I do want to say though, hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about Adesanya. So one thing that I don't want to talk about, the fight, okay? It was a fantastic performance by Izzy. That's all I'll say. We're not here to talk about the fight. We're here to talk about what Adesanya did afterwards, okay? And it seems like the community's been really split, the MMA community, because if you don't know what happened, if you've been living under a rock, Alex Pereira's son, after Alex knocked Izzy out in their first bout or the second bout, whenever it was that Alex knocked him out, Alex's son went into the cage and mocked Izzy and fainted on the ground. It was inappropriate, of course, especially to somebody who was just knocked out. Adesanya, he finally got his revenge on Alex Pereira, right? He actively searched that kid out in the crowd, the poor kid who was crying, and he pointed at him and was like, "Oh, I'm doing the same thing you did. There's your daddy." And then he fell over too. Was it appropriate? Was it not? Long story short, I see both sides, and I don't know exactly where I stand on it. I'll tell you why, okay? A lot of people are just saying, hey, you know what? The kid's learning a life lesson. It's something Alex never taught him, and it's basically karma. I would agree with all of those points if the kid was at least like a teenager, maybe an adult. An adult would absolutely deserve it. So did the kid deserve it? Yeah, it looks good on him. But the problem for me is he's a kid. He has no understanding, especially when Alex knocked him out all those years ago. He had no understanding that this is somebody's life you're playing with, and this isn't something that you should necessarily be mocking. The kid wasn't part of it. He shouldn't have done that. But he was a kid. He didn't know any better. What the kid most likely thought was, Alex knocked, or dad knocked him out, and then Izzy fell funny, and then he was mocking him. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, I don't think it was malicious. I don't think a kid really had that intent. And even if it was malicious, it's a kid, and I personally excuse it. For Izzy to retaliate in that sense and do the same thing, I found it a little bit distasteful. Is it classless? Absolutely, but that's a conversation for another time, or we could touch on it very little right now. I think that something that I do like about Israel Adesanya is that he doesn't remain classy in defeat. I think more fighters should be like that, quite frankly, because I don't like to see these two guys just hug it out after a fight, because it's all fake. There's no way after sharing a cage and beating the crap out of each other, especially if you lose, you're like, hey, bring it here. I know we hate each other, but now I like you. It's all fake, and people just want like bonus points for that with the fans. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that Adesanya doesn't fake that. You know what I mean? Kind of like Colby and Masvidal did. We all knew the beef was there. They still hated each other afterwards. You know, like if I was fighting someone that I hated and I knocked him out, I would not want to shake his hand. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, I knocked him out. You know what I mean? So that's something I do like about Adesanya. But I don't think that he should be looking to seek revenge on this kid. The kid doesn't know what just happened to his dad. Well, he did know what happened to his dad, but like, he doesn't know if his dad will ever be the same. That was a horrible, horrible knockout. People were kind of tying that in with the celebration. I think the celebration was fine. Taunting's okay, you know what I mean? Doing the arrows thing, and it was actually really badass, not gonna lie. But that is totally appropriate in my opinion. I have no issues with that, especially with Alex running over his body at the end when he knocked him out. I'm specifically talking about the child. The kid's crying, the mom's holding him. I don't like that, man. I don't like that Adesanya did that. Did the kid deserve it? Absolutely, he deserved it. Is it a life lesson? Yeah, I guess so. But at the end of the day, this is people's lives we're playing with. And to like start mocking the kid when his dad's unconscious. Here's the biggest problem. I don't think people should be bringing their kids to fights, period. And that's something some people on Twitter were saying, people on Reddit. They were all talking about like, hey, well, if the kid's old enough to be there, he's old enough to face the consequences of whatever Israel Adesanya wants to do. Yeah, kinda. This is where my whole problem is. I see both sides. You know what I mean? I hate when fighters bring their kids to events, especially like the little kids. Like fighters that I love, like Cowboy Cerrone, brings his kids there and they don't even know what's going on half the time. Kamaru Usman got finished and his poor daughter is crying her eyes out. Why does she need to see that? Do you know how young she is? There is absolutely no reason. And even if you want to bring them, you're like, oh, I want them to see the biggest moment of my life. They don't know what's going on half the time. They need to be like, what? Probably 10. They need to be 10, and that's even still too young to see. What if what you see is like Kamaru Usman, those scary knockouts like Alex Pereira that just happened? Somebody knocks your father out cold completely, laying there unconscious, could have died. I'm surprised we haven't seen a death soon, like recently in MMA, with some of these knockouts. I don't get why people bring their kids there. This whole situation could have been avoided. Adesanya could have had his moment. Could have had revenge. And that's the end of the story. Should Adesanya have done that to the kid? I still think no. I understand both sides, but ultimately I don't think that he should have done that to the kid. But it's stupid on Alex for bringing his kid there. It's not okay. And especially even when he was even younger. With the kickboxing fights. How many years ago was that? That's stupid. Like, I will never bring my kid to an event. I'm not a fighter. Like, well, I train, but you know what I mean? I'll never be a UFC fighter, but if I was a UFC fighter, I'd be like, absolutely not, you were coming. I would even want my wife there. Like, I don't want to put them through that. That's insane to me. I want them to see me when I win the belt and do these. I fight for them. Like, yeah, you know what? You do fight for them, but you could see these kids, like, even when the fighters win and they have their, like, little baby on their shoulder, you could see them, like, looking around, like, sometimes with the soothers in their mouth, just not even know what's going on. They have those big muffled earphones on. They don't even know what's going on, where it's like they just, they can't hear anything. They're like, oh, lights everywhere. Like, they have no business being in a fight, but they know when their daddy's going to get unconscious, that's for sure. They know their dad's not okay. Maybe they'll get knocked out, and then they'll look at their kid like, who are you? Like, this is just so inappropriate, and the entire crowd of people swearing. It's loud, it's bloody, it's disgusting. This whole situation could have been avoided, and now I'm blaming Alex Pereira. But still, at the end of the day, what was right? I don't think Israel Adesanya should have done that to a kid. This is where I'll leave it to you guys. Like, I understand both sides. The kid learned a lesson. He shouldn't have taunted Adesanya in the first place, but at the end of the day, he was a kid. There's a reason we say, like, kids can't do stuff like consent. You know what I mean? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know the consequences of their actions. Alex should have taught him not to do that. Alex should have just disciplined him in the moment when he was doing that to Adesanya. Say, like, you know what? That was disrespectful. Don't do that, especially if you're in the cage. You know what I mean? All those steps should have been taken, but at the end of the day, the kid was crying in his mother's arms, and Adesanya found him out, pointed at him, and then mocked his dad, like, dying pretty much. And to the people who are also saying that are on Adesanya's side, where it's like, if you don't like taunting in an adult sport where two grown men in a drunken crowd are fighting each other and beating the crap out of each other, then you're just I won't say the word, but I have to be careful with my YouTube words, but a lady's part, you know what I mean? They're using the P word. Yeah, it's a vulgar sport, and yeah, it's for grown men. But that doesn't mean that we should just be playing with people's lives. And man, this is what I hate about it, because I made a video a while ago talking about why I don't like Francis Ngannou, and it's because he's playing with people's lives. He knocks somebody out, knows they're unconscious, and just goes in with his 300-pound weight right on their neck. You could kill somebody. And then people say something like that to me, and it's like, well, yeah, it's a fist fight. What do you want? There's rules for a reason. When the dude's unconscious, just don't knock him out. But I'm getting into an entire different conversation there. The point is, like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you know what? It's a tough guy's sport. Deal with it. But this is a little kid. You know? There's still things that are inappropriate. At the end of the day, no matter what, this is a child crying in his mother's arms. Adesanya shouldn't have done that. But I understand the other side. This is where I'll leave it up to you guys. I would love to know what you think down below about this entire situation. I don't want to talk about the taunting or anything like that. Let me know specifically whether or not this was appropriate for Adesanya to do to the kid. Let me know what you think down below, guys. And thank you so much for watching this video. On the screen right now, we have two fantastic videos for you to check out that are MMA related. If you like the content, subscribe, like, and check out one of these videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Take care.